Okay, so next up is my fortune cookie program, and this one also uses the random numbers, so that's why I wanted to follow up the Lucky 7 program with this one. It's kind of similar, but also quite different. So here's your fortune cookie. Press enter to crack. You can see I found a fortune cookie emoji, and I'm going to press enter. I'm also using a sleep function. Look at, I put the program to sleep for a couple of seconds to kind of add suspense while it generates the fortune. So I'll show you how to use that too. So it says here, I'll find happiness. Let me run it again, see if I get something different. 2-second delay. Okay, and now I have the luck option. So I have like 4 options. We have luck, love, happiness, and money are the 4 possibilities. So let's take a look here. Importing the random like I did in the last program. I'll show you how I'm using that later. Also importing this time library because we have the sleep function. I'm using the sleep function to put the program to sleep or pause it for 2 seconds, pause the execution, and I'll show you where that comes in the code. So I'm just having some fun with the emojis here for the cookie and, you know, the money, the love option, which is a heart, and then, you know, smiley face and whatnot. So, okay, so I'm using an F string here to display the cookie, which I've set aside in the cookie variable, okay? And then, this actually, okay, so where it says press enter to crack, the program pauses and waits for the user to press the enter key. So just an input state, like an empty input statement will do that. It's just going to pause the screen and wait for the keyboard input from the user, in this case, just the enter key. So using input to pause the screen and absorb that enter key. So then we have the sleep function. So I'm just putting the program to sleep for a couple of seconds to generate some suspense, okay? And then finally I'll go ahead with the fortune. So just like in the last program, we're using the random randint method. And here I have a range of 1 to 4. So we'll have 4 possibilities, putting that in the random variable. And now my if structure, okay? So, and this one is more complex than in the last program. The last program was black and white. Either they won or they lost, okay? 2 possibilities. This one is more nuanced, right? It has 4 possibilities. Maybe they'll be rich, maybe they'll find love, maybe they'll find happiness, and so on. So it's pretty straightforward. Again, don't forget the double equal sign when you're comparing, like for equality, right? And also don't forget the colon at the end of the if clause there. All right. And indentation matters. I'm going with 4 spaces throughout this structure, 4 spaces for the blocks. I know they're not really blocks, they're just single lines of code, but you know, you could have more things in here. We will. We'll get more involved in maybe the next video. Okay, so pretty straightforward. So this is ELIF, like in a lot of other languages, it's ELSIF, but they shorten it in Python, so it's the word ELIF. Okay, that's kind of hard for me to get used to personally, but you know, I have experience in other languages. So yeah, so we have 4 possibilities, 4 possible avenues of execution, and depending on what number is generated from the random number generator 1 through 4, then one of these is going to execute. You know, here at the bottom, so I just did an else clause. The else clause becomes like the default clause. Notice I didn't do like, I could have done something like this, elif, what is that, random equals 4. Okay, that'll work too, okay, but you know, this is kind of redundant. If I've made it this far in the execution, it's got to be a 4. Okay, so I don't really have to type out the equals 4. It's, you know, this just becomes like the end of the road, and so it's got to be the mushroom or the lucky options. So, you know, you have some options at the end there. You don't really have to spell it all out. If this is the last possibility, then it's got to be that. We got a 4. So you have some syntax options that you can use.